everybody. Thanks for tuning in. One of the many things we are proud of here in Fredericksburg is our status as a river city. Fredericksburg is where it is because of our location along the fall line of the Rappahannock River. We try to take full advantage of our river, working with great local partners such as the Friends of the Rappahannock and the Riverfront Park. Not too long ago, we completed the Rappahannock River Heritage Trail, which is a wonderful way to take in our lovely river views while getting some exercise, and lots of people do. And now we are building Riverfront Park, which should be open next summer. An easement protects thousands of acres along the Rappahannock, which is a wonderful thing for Fredericksburg to do, and I might add, which protects the source of our city's drinking water. It's impossible to overstate the importance of the river to our city. And it's so important that we have a full-time member of our staff dedicated solely to the river's protection. Here with me today is Watershed Manager Joe Young. Thanks for being here, Joe.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
One of the things that I would like to ask you is describe a typical day in the life of the Watershed Manager.
Well, to answer that question, I'd like to give you a little history on the watershed. The city of Fredericksburg acquired almost 5,000 acres back in 1969 from VEPCO. And at that point, the city council had the foresight and they realized not only was it a beautiful piece of property, they could use that property to protect the drinking and bathing water of literally hundreds of thousands of people throughout this region and even further downstream. And when they did that, they realized they would need some kind of law enforcement individual to make sure it's protected. So then knowing that, 90% of any law enforcement job is providing service. So a big part of my day is following up with the citizens. Do they have complaints? Do they have concerns? How can I assist them? How can we make it better? You speaking of, the Friends of the Rappahannock, Virginia Outdoor Center, American Canoe Association, River Rock Outfitters, all of those work with the city as the eyes and ears of that watershed. So I spend time dealing with them, answering their concerns, questions. They may see something while they're out, floating, and it may be a very legitimate concern for the city. And so I'm looking for illegal ATV use, illegal tree cutting, anything that's going to damage that ecosystem that is there to protect the Rappahannock River. And in addition to that, because we go through 5 different jurisdictions and the city, I work with multiple agencies. All, are dedicated, just like the city, to protecting that land. So I have very interesting days, and it's the most enjoyable job I've ever had.
Well, I'm glad you enjoy it. I know you do it very well.
Well, thank you.
And we do forget that while you are employed by the city of Fredericksburg as the Watershed Manager, you're working with many jurisdictions,
Yes,
many different rules, regulations, laws, and individuals.
Yes, ma'am.
That's got to be interesting in itself. So, would you describe in your own words how important the river is to this community?
It's very important. This city is here because of that river, and it's part of the city's responsibility, my responsibility. When it comes out of it seeps out of the granite up in the Piedmont region, it's pristine, and it's part of my job to make sure it's just as close to pristine as possible when we pass it downstream and ultimately into the Chesapeake Bay.
That's a big responsibility, but it also makes it obvious how essential the river is. So we're building a park on the river.
Yes.
And we call it the Riverfront Park. How do you think that's going to improve our status as a river city?
It's going to improve immensely. If you look at what the city has done just in the past few years, like you mentioned, the Heritage Trail going in, providing, a place for people to view the river, to exercise, maintain their level of health. We have the Face the River program that, keeps down those invasive species. For a while there, people walking along Sophia didn't even know the Rappahannock River was there. So now, looking at all this great progress that the city has made, this is going to be, I think, that gemstone in the whole area, and it's going to tie everything together. It's going to affect the merchants downtown. I think, the residents and people coming to visit America's most historic city, it's going to be beautiful for them. I think everyone's going to win.
Thank you. That's a lovely way to describe it, the gemstone. And you're right, it takes you to where it all started.
Yes.
While the river is beautiful, I grew up here, the river is very dangerous.
It is very dangerous.
And people do not realize that because it looks nice and smooth and easy.
Yes.
So
I think the biggest thing any individual could do is wear a PFD, a personal flotation device. Over the years, I've been here almost 18 years and have played a part in the water rescues and the notification of families and of drowning victims. Those individuals didn't have to drown, and they probably wouldn't have if they would have had a PFD. So the number one thing I can tell anybody, whether you're above the fall line, below the fall line, which is just as dangerous, it's tidal, it rapidly rises. It could be a sunny, beautiful day here in Fredericksburg, and they have severe thunderstorms in Culpeper, which causes the river to rise 3-4 feet. And it's sunny here, people are enjoying that, and all of a sudden, when the thunderstorms start in Culpeper, that wall of water moves down. And whenever you have millions of gallons of water coming down and you constrict it, it accelerates it. So on the surface, it looks beautiful. If you go down below the seawall where that water is being accelerated, it's moving 3-4 times faster than the surface water. And people don't realize that. And if they're down there paddle boarding or renting a kayak from the Virginia Outdoor Center, it's required that they wear a PFD. Someone could fall over, and if they don't have that PFD, and they do go through that roughly 4 feet, which varies between high and low tides, and they hit that accelerated water, it's hard to get out of it, and it will take you miles downriver, downstream. So you just have to be careful. Know before you go. I'd highly recommend, if you're planning a family trip or anything, go to one of the outfitters we have. They're all headquartered, they're all based here in Fredericksburg. American Canoe Association is Virginia Outdoor Center. Get with a reputable outfitter. They offer safety courses before, the float. You can do hourly floats. You can do 2-day floats if you want to. But, get the education, know before you go, and please wear a PFD. That is, I mean that from my heart.
And PFD is personal flotation device. Anything that floats that's secure.
In today's day and age, they're very fashionable. Highly recommend it. That's the biggest suggestion I can make to you.
Well, that's very good information. And again, people, it looks so smooth on the surface. You have no idea how rapidly it can be running, not very far down.
You can be an Olympic swimmer, and if you're pinned under a rock, you're not going to get out. The whole river, you've got to respect it and just try to educate yourself before you go out there.
You've given us a number of resources to find this information, and I think that Friends of the Rappahannock posts information online as well.
Yes.
So, like you said, be sure you know and be sure you have a personal flotation device.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so very much for being here. And most of all, thank you for all the good work you do.
Thank you.
know I've seen the pictures of you helping people understand how to keep it clean,
I try.
giving them a paper bag instead of a citation,
Yes.
all that good stuff. You have
Education.
been an ambassador for our city as well as a wonderful watershed manager.
Thank you.
And we appreciate it very much.
Thank
Most of all, I appreciate for your taking the time to come talk to folks today and inform them.
Well, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So that's it for this week. Please keep your questions coming at askthemayor@fredericksburgva.gov. We will be back. Until then, see you around the burg.